Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. It is the 30th of
It's a
January.
nice
So we got,
football Sunday, the real last non-party event of the year. Well, actually, it is kind of a party event, but
yes, for
Super
me,
Bowl's in
this,
its own world.
yeah, the Super Bowl, it's so, I watch it, but I feel like it's not like the hype is when you do not have a clear favorite in it, the hype for the Super Bowl is like
Yeah,
much
it's always
lower.
nice to have a team to root for in it. Of the four teams, who would you be rooting for right now to win it?
Today, I'm a big Bengals fan. And I'm a
Fan, or you think they're going to win? Big
fan. I
difference.
don't think they're going to win.
Okay,
Fan.
gotcha. I
And
agree. I want the Bengals to win, but I think the Chiefs will win.
and then I'm gonna for the other game. I'm gonna go for the Rams because I really like Cooper Cup. I love Cooper Cup. He was in my fantasy team this year. He's such a good player. I feel like he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I
For
think
the
he's the best wide receiver in the league, so I'll go for the Rams today.
I do not root for LA sports ever, but I am rooting for the Rams, because I want to see Stafford, who's had all those losing years, Aaron Donald, who's been the best player for years, get over that hump. Von Miller, easy guy to root for. They have some likable players. I'd rather OBJ not win a Super Bowl, but going to the Super Bowl, I think I'm not rooting for a team from California or in LA, but
You
who
know, though,
knows?
maybe if Odell wins it, maybe he'll stop moaning and
I don't think
crying.
for him
Maybe
it's about the Super Bowl. For him, it's about the fame of being the guy.
I could see that, trying to
Yeah.
be that San Antonio Holmes or David Tyree in that moment if they
I,
do make it.
yes. So now that we're on the topic of football, big week for the Giants. You know,
Mhm.
new GM Joe Shane. They bring in Brian Dayball. Rumors that they are looking at the offense or the quarterback coach or from the Bills, who was, I believe, the old quarterback from University of Miami, Ken Dorsey. Rumors he may be on board. Don't know what the defensive coordinator stuff is. I've heard there'll be talks with Patrick Graham, but Patrick Graham interviewed for the Vikings job yesterday.
Mhm.
Um,
Dolphins.
I love
He did.
Patrick Graham,
Yeah.
um, uh, but we'll see if he wants to go take a job without a quarterback for his first job. Maybe he saw how
Yeah.
that worked out, but who knows? He'd be my first choice as defensive coordinator. Um,
Oh yeah.
but the other options you see, they're talking about Wink Martindale being a big option from
Yeah.
Baltimore.
I think they did the best they could to make sure that next year they could be competitive. With the new playoff format, I still think the Giants could make the playoffs next year. They won't win the division, but I
Yeah,
think they
much
could.
like the Eagles season was.
Yeah, I think they can compete. I don't. I love Shane. I'm uneasy with Dable because you look his success. All of his success in his career has been with good quarterbacks, and when you look at when he's been on
I
a
think
team
that's
without.
pretty safe to say for a lot of offensive
Yeah,
coordinators.
but it's
Maybe,
when he's bit when he spent time in Kansas City with Chad Henne and
yeah, exactly. You just
it
said,
was no, but it was really bad.
yeah,
But
they were but those were also, he was working for some dysfunctional coaching staffs in general. Things weren't going well where he
well,
took
I
those.
don't like that Andy Reid fired him because Andy Reid is
But there's also something to say about being younger and learning through all those experiences. There is an advantage to going to see how you were in the Alabama system. You saw how a national championship is won quite recently in college. You've been to a Bills system where the quarterback mobility, is
oh
Daniel
yeah, yeah.
Jones. And you've seen that system. You've been with the Chiefs. You've seen a lot of coaches. You've seen stuff fail. You've seen stuff going the right way. You've seen coaches leave New England and not succeed and those features. But the best thing that I see coming out of it is when I hear players from the Bills on offense and talk about just one, how well he related to players, how quick he was to adapt the offense and change it based
That's what
on
they
what the
need.
players. That's what you need. Like,
Yeah,
Giants aren't going to have elite talent everywhere, but if they sit down and you get guys like Stephon Diggs saying how incredible he is, and he makes sure he gets you open, and he holds people responsible. But he is also smart enough to learn and say, like, "Hey, I see this. I'm open all day." He'll adjust on the fly. He'll make a play on his fingers if he has to do something. And
Yeah.
the big difference is we're going to learn. And the sad thing is, I don't think you're going to be able to learn in 1 year whether he could do something with Daniel Jones.
Well, I feel like I hope they just didn't hire. Like, obviously, he does have like
No, I don't.
positive comments
If
in
you
him.
think they hired him just for Jones, I don't think so.
No,
I
I
think.
hope they didn't hire him because Shane was on the bill, like just because he worked for the Bills. That's
Well,
what I hope they didn't do.
but when you're working with someone and you see that they're super talented and you see them rising up the ranks and you see them doing a good job, you have a lot more exposure to that person. You know, my the other option was Flores, and it made me very nervous how many people Flores fired. Much what we had with Joe Judge and some of the coaches that come out of New England, where it's their way or the highway. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think I'm glad they brought. To me, what's most important is they brought in like a young, like fresh start GM kind of thing.
Yeah.
I loved his press conference. It was amazing thing to watch, and I just hope the Giants don't experiment again with a young head coach like Joe Judge. Like I hope that's taught a lesson that like
I think Brian Dable's been at the top of the head coaching
no,
list
yeah, yeah,
for a
but
while. I'm glad they didn't go rogue and go somewhere that they didn't know, or I'm glad they didn't go with the Bengals defensive coordinator, someone new popped on the radar. I think universally everyone said it was the right hire. The question was
yeah.
him or Flores. Um,
I think
and
they did the
really,
right thing. I thought for a second I thought Sean Payton was going to come to the Giants because
I
he
see it.
has relation in the Giant
I know.
system.
I see him with the Cowboys next year. That's what every sign points to.
Everyone said he was going to go to the Giants or the Bears if he left.
But he can't really leave this year. He still has a 3-year, $45 million deal that he walked away from. So if he decides to come back and coach next year,
Yeah,
the Saints still have him under contract. So someone has to give him or the Saints compensation. Now the Saints, I don't think they're not going to hold Sean Payton hostage because
no,
of
what
their
he's done for
relationship.
them, like come on.
Yeah, but you'll still have to compensate something. You remember the what was it Bill Parcells who was or Bill Belichick who was traded from the Jets to the Patriots, and it John Gruden I believe was traded to the Bucks from the Raiders. Like it has happened before, but that my anticipation is it's Sean Payton really needed a break, and I understand that he needed up breaks, and he wants to see what other
And Breeze is
opportunities. You're
not there
probably
anymore.
well,
I wouldn't stay with the
you're
Saints.
also
They're going
looking.
downhill.
Yeah, they're in salary cap hell. They're going to rework it. Maybe you take a break and see what happens. Give someone else in the organization a chance. But a year from now, if the Cowboys, if
Oh,
McCarthy stinks again, and you're still looking at a really good lineup in there, that's a pretty good place to go play because
yeah. Well, I think one, it must be brutal to be a Saints fan because one, that dreaded call in the NFC Championship, and just all these years with Breeze where they couldn't finish in the
well, they
playoffs.
did win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that was like 10 years ago though. Like that
They
that
they
was
won 7 division titles. That's the one thing when you look back at these things of great coaches and great the Super Bowls are few and far between. Like, there's not many people who don't get them, or if they do get them, they're like with the same team in a quick bunch. It's just incredible, like how many Super
yeah,
Bowls that
and
New England's been part of. It's annoying.
well, also I feel like you're right with Sean Payton and once Drew Brees left, but also on that same note, Tom Brady retires and
Tom Brady retires, and the craziness of this season, or what's going to change next season between, like, we're not going to go into
the Bucks.
kissing Tom Brady's, but the Bucks look like they're going
I
to fall
thought
apart, right?
Tom Brady's dad said his son did not retire. He
I know
put that on
that they're
Twitter.
all playing games on PR
Well, what's
politics.
going on though? Is
Most
he
likely he's going to retire. He just didn't. Hasn't
hasn't
made the
announced
formal.
it?
He hasn't done the formal announcement.
I
He
hate
probably
Adam
wants to tell
Schefter.
certain people. Yeah,
Adam Schefter's such a the media for the NFL is not good.
and who cares who says it first?
They want the money, like, because it's
I
Brady.
know it's so trivial, but that's the world we live in. But just think, there's going to be 9 new head coaches next year, multiple new GMs next year. No Tom Brady. The Rams after this year will have to get rid of tons of players because of salary cap. The Buccaneers players will.
It's gonna change. Yeah.
Yeah, the Buccaneers.
Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers could be in Denver, like what's his name? Could Russell Wilson could be out of Seattle? Like, this offseason is one of the craziest that has ever started. The amount of coaches, big players moving around, you know.
Well, as we wrap up on football, though, I want to ask you this really important question, and I want to see what you think. So, one to start, Dallas now had a really good year. They when was the last time they won it? A couple years. They were 13-3 in 2016. Had a really good
They
season.
haven't won it since Barry Switzer, right?
They have now, in the recent memory, I can't remember from 17, 18, 19, 20, those 4 years, what everything that happened. But I know in 2016 they were 13-3, won the division, and lost in the divisional round to the Packers. This year they won the division, lost to San Fran at home. Now, is that we'll get that's the first side of the question.
Okay.
Now, Green Bay was the best team in the league this year, lost in the divisional round. Was the best team in the league last year, lost in the NFC Championship. I know that we can talk about the pass interference PI call all day.
Yeah, one call doesn't make a game.
Yeah, and what is more brutal? Like, what is more
to the fan base, or
not to the fan base? What is more of a letdown of just blowing it? Dallas in the last couple of years,
I think
or
Green Bay. Green Bay, because Aaron Rodgers is far and away, like, not that Dak Prescott is not starting to have an incredible career, but Aaron Rodgers is in the MVP conversation every year. Like, they in my mind, should have been the team that won multiple Super Bowls. Should the Cowboys have had good lineups, but it's always something with them, you know. They can't get over the hump. They can't do they haven't been clutch, like, or they're, when they were good, their offense is great, their defense is not good.
So then what's more disappointing for the fan base? I think I might make an argument for Dallas.
The Cowboy fan base thinks they're the best team in the league every year. I don't know if the Green Bay Packers fans think they're the best team in the league every year, but they certainly think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers every year. But the Cowboys are just one of those teams that always get hyped up. People say they're going to do better no matter what they are, and it becomes a disappointment. But I'm happy for them to be disappointed. I hope they're perpetually disappointed. I can't stand the Cowboys.
Well, the thing is, for Dallas, I would say it's a little bit of a different scenario. I think it's just they had such a good start to the year, but they still have that choke factor that people know that's like it's there. Like, they will choke.
It's in their head. It's their history. And what's crazy is new players pick up old voodoo history.
They're never perfect. That's the thing. Dallas always could be. They were great at the first start of the year, but they always have there's something little that I feel like goes wrong in those games that they like.
Their coaching. Let's go back to the coaching over since they have won a Super Bowl with all the Jason Garrett.
But what do you do, though? Like, their team is actually really good. What do you change beside the coaches? Like, that's what I don't get.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that we don't see. They obviously draft good players. They have a lot of talent. Their ownership will put any kind of money into anything. I'm sure
Trayvon Diggs led the league in picks.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons going to be the rookie of the year. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott didn't have a good year, but you look at
I think he played with an injury the whole year that they didn't discuss. But even still, they're loaded everywhere. CeeDee Lamb, their offensive line is coming to the end of a tremendous run of being the best offensive line. So they've had all the talent. So I don't see I think a lot has to do with the coaching.
And I mean, then you look at to me for Green Bay.
Green Bay coaching too.
I think it's to me, Green Bay is like, to me, it's like, how did you let this happen again? Like, that's how it is for me. Because you see, okay, you're playing at Lambeau. That should be a fortress for you to win. Like, it is cold. You know how to play in the cold.
Sometimes I think that overrated. I mean, even if you spend a year there in Green Bay, you do get used to the cold, but not all those players grew up in
Like
Wisconsin. So
San Fran came from the West Coast, and
yeah,
like
West
they
Coast is
never
cold,
see
and I know you ever been to San
no, but
Francisco.
like,
West Coast is wet and dreary all the time. Uh,
but
you
to
know,
me, it's just like you guys, like you dominated the regular season, and
I
you
think we
like
just both of us made the point that we're not beating around the push. It's really hard to win a Super Bowl. There's plenty
hard to
of
win the playoffs.
there's plenty of teams, and every year we're talking about 90% of them being disappointed. How did you blow it? Like right now, the Bills, you lost a game with 13 seconds left, a devastating loss. That city by
That's
far has
terrible. I'm
has the
that's why I hate
worst.
the Chiefs. I hate the
Buffalo has
Chiefs.
the worst tortured city in our country. 4 lost Super Bowls, a stolen Stanley Cup.
Well, do
It's
you like what you remember though? Like in 2000, oh, I want to say 2007 when the Giants. It was either in seven when they played them in the NFC Championship at Lambeau, or 2000. It was 2011. They played them in a divisional round. The Packers were the best team in the league, and the Giants came
they
through and beat them. Like
yeah,
they
you
keep doing
never
this. They
know.
blow it.
Yeah,
Like
and
that
I
was
think
10 years ago,
but
and
I
it's the
also
same.
think they're victim of playing in the cold weather because they've lost a ton of those games. You know, Aaron
Maybe,
Rodgers is a
yeah, is
Cowboy.
it?
Like just because you're there doesn't mean all of a sudden you love the cold weather.
But
You know,
they're well.
you
Then speaking
there
on
is
the
there is something to
speaking,
say. But let's move on. We spent a lot of time on football.
would
What's
you want
next
to touch on the Chiefs real quick to end it? On any thoughts on that? Because
on the Chiefs
the
game
Chiefs
or the
game,
Chiefs
the
the Chiefs
Chiefs
game?
game with the Bills.
I think the Chiefs. Oh, the Chiefs Bills game. Devastating loss for me because I picked the Bills and I had all the other picks right and they were all tied to that Bills. So to lose with 13 seconds, I wanted to cry. But that long,
I broke my heart watching
I
that
think
game.
one of the coolest stories that if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and it becomes part of their legacy is Andy Reid going when the situation is grim, be the Grim Reaper, and it's terrible defensive calls. It's inexcusable, but it is also incredible because you're in the moment, you're making a call,
Isn't
and
that Dable though? Isn't he the D coordinator? Or is he the
he's
offensive
the
coordinator?
offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay, good.
Leslie Frazier is the defensive coordinator, but it was also
Oh,
if you didn't hear like Kelsey go over to the sideline and tell them like, hey, they're playing me the defense to basically run out of bounds. If they line up like that again, just throw it straight down the middle at the hash and I'll go get it. And they did like football you do in your backyard, and they're like just real quickly, and in less than 10 seconds they were down the field at field goal range.
well,
That's
to me, you look
devastating.
at it, and I called it, and you guys could call me an NFL expert now because before Tony Romo said it, I saw them lining up, and I was like, why aren't you dropping 8? Why are you rushing 4? You should
Yeah.
drop 8. Tony Romo said it right after the play, and Harrison Butker hits every like. It's
It's just
it's
that
not
game.
even that. It's
But
just
let's
that was
let's
what killed it,
that
and
was
I hate
the
everyone on the Chiefs
best,
except Travis
but that
Kelsey.
was the best game I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there was
Was it
27
really?
points scored for you know. It's not the game I most wanted to watch because it's not my team, but for pure entertainment. I remember Caroline went upstairs. I'm sitting there with 2 minutes to go. I'm like, oh my God. Both of us rooting for the Bills. I'm like, they're gonna pull this off. Then it's like, they blew it.
Gabriel Davis.
They blew it with a minute left. Like, are you kidding me?
I hate Tyreek Hill. Oh.
But letting him just take that and just run wide open. So then I'm all pissed off. Then 2 seconds later, it's like, oh my God, the Bills, there's no way they're going to lose. And
You just you look at their fans and it's like
it's like, I texted Mike Sanson, who's a Bills fan, and was just like, 13 seconds. Just finally, like, there's no way. But
to cap off the football segment. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm a very passionate fan. Some people could call me a sore loser after my team's lost. If I was a Bills fan in that moment, I have absolutely no clue what I'd be doing. I would be running down the street, grabbing like something that I could absolutely just throw as hard as I could at something because that like
that doesn't do any
I
good.
would
But
be miserable. I would still be miserable. I'd be miserable for a month after this. After that,
I
like that.
give the quarterback Josh Allen a lot of credit for standing up and just talking,
I hate
being up.
Mahomes.
I, I don't hate Mahomes. I mean,
They're so
yeah,
pompous over there. I
I
can't
don't know
take
if
it with
they
the players.
he's pretty. He comes off not that pompous for the success that he's had. Let's face it. There's a lot more pompous
Ugh.
people. Anyway, We will be moving on. We'll talk about the draft not too long from now, and that will be exciting. 2 picks. GM, who we're not going to be terrified making the picks, and I think you're going to be disappointed because it's going to be an offensive line.
It's not going to be fun. You know, it's not going to be fun.
It's not going to be fun until you see them winning games, and then you're like, okay, it was worth it. It's granted, it's never as fun as taking.
And you know it's not fun watching the Knicks right now, and that's
the Knicks,
a whole different story. It's
the Julius Randle debacle is just depressing me.
It's not even
how
that.
is it falling apart so fast?
RJ Barrett, they're scoring like they're not even. If you want my prediction, they won't even make the play in this year, and that is.
Well, they're still lingering. What,
way
2 games
below
under 500?
Yeah, but their expectations
they're predicted
were in the top 8.
Like their expectations were to be 500, so they're still
in the playoffs, though, not the play-in. They were put somehow get that.
But the competition is so much that right now, if they go on a 4-game winning streak, they're going to move way up in the standings. Like everything's kind of botched together. They're a 500 team with too many players that are similar. That no one gets enough court time.
Cam Reddish does not even doesn't even play.
Well, he came in with it. Yeah,
but he's not hurt anymore, and
they got to make a decision. I think they should be sellers at the trade deadline.
100%.
If anyone comes and offers, I don't know, anything decent for Randall, I think who are the only untouchables are Barrett. I want to keep Mitchell Robinson unless someone comes with a stupid offer. Yeah. Cam Reddish, we want to see we want to see him play if they're gonna.
I'm all for Grimes or Burks or any of these guys getting traded for pieces that could, because you still want to make the playoffs. I don't want to just give up on this year.
No, I agree, but don't you think there's too many guys competing for the lineup?
You have to get rid of something. You have to get.
There has to be guys that aren't coming in the game.
Yeah, quick. You can get rid of quickly.
I know that's a ridiculous thing to say. Everyone wants all this depth, but
when Rose comes back, I want him on the court, and I want him on the court majority of the bench time, and I want him on and I don't even know. I don't even want to continue with the Knicks. I'm just gonna say they suck, and they need to make moves. That's all they need to do. I can't. I think right.
They're a 500 team who's not going to win one round of the playoffs. Hopefully, they win a game in the playoffs.
Hopefully, they even make the playoffs. Right? Instead of playing.
They're always a team that gives you these miserable runs. What I want to see from them is Julius Randle wake up and be the guy he was last year again, and he looks like he's miserable.
To me, it's him not hitting threes. He can't hit the 3 this year. He's good. He's good in the paint and stuff.
Well, let's not get in his head and analyze what we don't know. But either way, I'd like to see him back, see them make the playoffs, and at the trade deadline, I'd like to see them move some of these guys that are very similar. So that.
And I'm not a fan of what Tom Thibodeau is saying or doing. Look, I
don't know if he's telling the truth to us as what's going on, but we'll see.
Yeah, but
let's wrap it up with your favorite. Very disappointing game the other night, but it was also an awesome to start, terrible to end. Horrific call, I feel. Maybe I'm not as keen on the rules, but I don't know how that was not a goal. That seems insane to me. Doesn't matter. They lost. It was about Lundqvist. Well, what were your thoughts? I don't know how many of these you've seen for your team. Lundqvist was your guy. Lundqvist was throwing up who you loved.
It was awesome, and I'd say probably it's the most disappointed, angry I've been or frustrated with this team all year through 2 games. But as pissed off as I was Friday night, couldn't go to bed. That was probably the most pissed off I've been about any loss all year. That was ridiculous. But I woke up yesterday morning and I was like, okay, I'm pissed off, but we're still projected to win 50 games this year. That's
Kreider has 31 goals.
It's frustrating. Fox is gone, yes, but that's
now. Have you read anything else other than upper body injury? Do we know what this is?
I saw him in a suit. He was at the
and he looked
ceremony.
Normal?
Yeah, he looks fine. I just hope he returns for their first game after All-Star break on February 15th. I think it
makes sense if it was something to give him a little extra rest through the All-Star break.
Don't go to the All-Star game, which sucks because he is. That's the one guy you'd want to see.
Yeah.
But
All-star
I'm
schmoll-star.
I'm so excited to watch Kreider go in the fast skate competition because it is just like he. I mean, I tell you, like going. I mean, you've
Well,
been
you
there
got the
before. You
Olympics
watched the
coming up,
Olympics.
seeing speed skating coming up.
No, I
I,
don't watch the Olympics.
I like the Winter Olympics. I feel
I'll,
like
I'll
I'm
watch
the
the snowboarding. I'll watch the snowboarding. I like that.
I
That's
like
fun.
the bobsled. I like the luge. I love downhill
I'll
skiing.
watch the hockey too. I'll watch the
I like
hockey.
speed skating, hockey. It's
Oh,
great.
speed skating is amazing. But with the Rangers, though, that was amazing goal Kreider scored on Friday.
Oh,
That was awesome.
that's ridiculous.
I hate Zuccarello now. Hate him.
How could
That
you
was
hate Zuccarello? That's
right
ridiculous.
as. Did you watch the MSG thing?
But that's
Lundqvist.
why you loved him. Because
God.
he's the guy that plays for your team. Like he showed you everything reason we loved him. And I love the
Well,
fact that every time he was on camera in the middle of the speech, people would just be like, Zook.
and it was amazing watching. It's like after the game, Mika Zibanejad, his post game. If anyone watched that, is like
Yeah.
was like a fan. Like, and
Yeah.
that's how I felt. And he was like, he just said he's like because he doesn't say it. He doesn't say much anyways. Like he's
Yeah.
not a
He's not
vocal
out there.
person, but
Yeah.
he's like I'm just disappointed we couldn't win on such a special night with all the fans here. That was the biggest showing all year, by
Yeah.
far.
Well, the
With the
energy and
fans.
juice that they bring.
Yeah, and that's what I felt, and it was so sad watching Lundqvist like almost in tears. I didn't realize how much his brother looks
He's a
exactly like,
twin.
and
It's a twin brother.
yeah, I mean, but like they are like I know identical twins look that like it's just so
Yeah.
crazy seeing how much they look
He's a
alike.
star in Sweden.
Yeah, Yoel or whatever. My parents were talking about, and I know it's kind of weird, but they were like, "Wow," they're like, "That's a great looking couple." They
Yeah.
like,
Even their little daughters were so pretty. Like Caroline said the same thing. Like let's
oh, it's
face it,
like
Lunka's wife's pretty good
if
looking.
you wanna draw up a storybook like White Picket Fence Family,
Like the
that's what
king,
you like.
yeah, a
That's what
Swedish
you draw. Like,
supermodels.
yeah, and it was like I saw like I don't know if you saw when Steve Valiquette, it was something on Instagram it was supposed to where he hands Lundqvist this like tablet and everyone's saying thank you. And
Yeah,
the guy one of the guys that said thank you, he's like as if it wasn't enough with how good you were on the ice, then you take your helmet off and you're gorgeous and like you he's laughing, but
Uh,
it
it's
was
funny
awesome.
how
And
Belichick was there for 3 years, but like he has such a bond with so many of these guys. I
I
know he's
don't
worked
like
there for a while.
I like I like him in the studio, but I just think it's funny sometimes when he tries to act like he really knows what he's talking about. Like I'm sure
Well,
you do, but like
but
you're
that's be careful what you say because like he does know what he's talking about. Just because you physically could not do it all, most people who are coaching professional athletes can't do what they're doing. They only know how it's supposed to happen, and
yeah,
that's the
he definitely
difference.
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
But like,
I like the tribute to Benoit Allaire. I thought the
oh, that's
nicest
awesome.
part of the equation was the equipment guy who apparently was
Oh,
sick. I don't know what's wrong with him.
cast marks. Yeah, he's
Like the fact that he held, like you could see Lundqvist be like, "Oh my God, this guy's held this for me all this time." I'm like knew about. Like it was just they seemed like they were close. That was the nicest moment for me. And
and
that
it was nice to see the former Rangers take a picture with him. I didn't really understand
those are all my
his
guys too.
his
They looking
his
old.
Messier looks fine. Messier looked like he
He
doesn't
looks
change.
Messier
Like he
looks the
looks
same all
fine.
the time. Graves looked a little old, and Leach looked a
I
little.
couldn't really tell. Leach looked old to me. I couldn't really tell with Graves. I feel like just like because he's bald, I can't really tell. Like, I mean, I don't mean it like that, but like,
He just looked a little swollen. That he usually always looks like he's ready
was
for
he
a
a
fight.
bruiser? Was he a bruiser?
He played the way Kreider's playing. His best year, he scored, I think, I want to say 50 goals, if that's humanly. And he just stood in front of the net. He stood in
Yeah.
front of the net like Kreider did, and the guys would just be hitting him in the back. He was never the same after that year. His back was always messed up, but he scored so many goals like that, just like deflecting it in front and getting loose pucks and just putting it in. He was a tough
And
guy. He was a nice guy.
also with I don't know, like, cause you probably watched the whole game, right? Like,
Yeah,
if anyone like, and look, because I watched 3 years of Lundqvist. I saw Georgiev. Like, I've seen good goaltenders
yeah.
since I've started watching. Not what you saw, because you saw the beginning of Lundqvist and Richter, but just like I remember when they're like, "Oh, and it's a penalty shot," and so I looked at my dad. I was just like, "Watch this," because Shesterkin, like, it's ridiculous. Like he
Yeah,
is not just move. He was like sitting there, just moved right with him, just and then he looks at him, just nods. And I was like,
Well,
are
I
you
like.
kidding me? Like,
Did you see when Valaket was like comparing Lundqvist to Igor on penalty kills before the game? I think that it was in either in between the periods or one of the segments. They were showing how, like, I assume from Benoit Allaire, that different teachings of where they're supposed to be in the ice and when they break down, and like him and Lundqvist were exactly the same in their teachings, the way they went about the breakaway.
I didn't see that because I watched the ceremony on NHL Network, so I didn't see them like pregame that.
Oh yeah, they were
But
drawn on
it's
the
just
ice. Like,
so like you look okay, but like all the goals he gives up, like it's so funny because they're not
oh,
his
wait till the
fault.
playoffs.
Like
Well, wait
exact,
till the
and they're
playoffs. Like, great goaltending in the playoffs will just make another team get so stressed. It's happened to the Rangers where they're just like, we're against Washington, we're never gonna get a goal, and then it just gets
and
it.
and watching you if you listen to the post game from Gallant, everyone was like, or Gallant, sorry,
You know,
but he said they say that all the time, but he was saying like the reporters were saying what I felt, and they're like, "Is it frustrating like that you guys continue to push like playing a full 60 minutes and like it's you don't do that?" And he's like every other team in the league, and he's like, "Yes, we're frustrated with how we played the last 2 days," but he's like, he's being like a calmer in a
yeah,
situation
he's a different guy,
in
and
the
that's
league.
why I wonder why his other stops. It's really great and refreshing in the beginning, but it may. Let's not worry about that. I do have a
Well,
question for you.
I think.
A
Oh,
hockey
sorry, go.
related question.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you listened to Carter and Roberts this week, and they were talking about the upcoming Lundqvist ceremony, and they were arguing over whether the Pot Van Sucks chant is cool or lame. They were highly divided. One thought it was lame and it should go away. The other thought it was great. I have a strong feeling. Me and you are from completely opposite generations. So one of the arguments is the younger generation just doesn't care about it anymore. So
Well, here's the thing. I think it's what like I'll when I hear you hear it on TV and stuff. It's and obviously the fan base likes doing it. They were doing it in Carolina, like they do it
yeah,
everywhere and stuff.
yeah, it's a tradition.
I think it's cool. I think they do it too much during the games. Like I think you should do it more when the like a lot when you're playing the Islanders. Like they do it like 5 times a game. Like and that's okay. But like I think they do it a little too much when they're not playing like the Islanders. But when you're like, because it's about the Islanders, so like
I think they got to branch out. If you make a great point. So like if they're playing. Just nail whoever the captain is on the other team. Or like when they're playing
yeah, like
Washington, it should be Wilson sucks. Like, still do the
well,
whistle.
and then you, but like you look at in the Hank tribute, Alex Ovechkin, they're like asking about like who, like they were asking everyone in the prompt was like who, what has Lundqvist like meant to you or what does he represent? And Alex Ovechkin was like the New York Rangers goaltender.
What a personality.
No, that's what I don't get with Panarin. Like you looked at like Buchnevich, or you look at these like Russian guys with no personality, and you look at Panarin, you're like, what?
Well,
Like,
there's a lot of people, a lot of different things, but also when you have a language barrier that's so strong, the context of how you say things means so much.
yeah. Well, with also it really like I knew it would have effect defensively because he makes those little plays, and that's what Valaket said. Like he makes those plays, or Micheletti, whoever said it,
Yeah.
he makes those plays that no one else can. But it's the power play that now switches because Adam Fox is that throw that little sifter in front for Kreider, great
Yeah.
passer. Now you have Truba in there; he's a shooter. So like
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't realize the difference that would make on the power play. But I think
I mean, he's an unbelievable player. It's gonna make a difference, but we'll see. It's only 3 games.
yeah.
I'm okay.
Last question or
Last
last two
question. All
questions
right,
to
we'll
end
wrap
it.
it up here as we head
To
into the actual game time.
one, do you think? I know you don't care about personal trophy awards or blah 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 with that, but with the 3 potential trophies that of personal achievements the Rangers could win this year would be Kreider winning the Rocket Richard for most goals in the league, um, Fox winning the Norris, or Shesterkin winning the Vesna. What are the two like that you think will happen?
Will happen. Okay.
That will have a better chance of happening.
The best chance of happening is Shesterkin if he's healthy. Fox very close behind. Again, I think he's on pace to win that award again. Often when you win once, it also makes it easier to win the second time. Kreider, I can't imagine. How could he keep this up?
I
This is
mean,
his
Leon
career
Leon
high. In goals.
Draisaitl dropped 2 yesterday, and now they're tied. So
Yeah, they're just those guys are on teams that are just lighting up goals all the time. The Rangers have never done this. He's what 2 goals over his career high already. So,
do
I
you
mean,
think he scores 50? I don't. I don't know. That's
I wouldn't.
19 more.
I didn't think he was going to keep the pace after the first quarter of the season. I think I probably on 7 of these podcasts going, there's no way this is going to continue. I don't know.
He'll
If he
hit
stays
40. I want for
if he
me more
stays
is he.
healthy, why can't he hit 50 if they keep playing the same way?
I
Like
think yeah. I mean, if he dropped 29, I think it was in the first half, he should obviously get there. But for
but
me,
it's
it's more about working to get Zibanejad to 40 because I don't. He has to hit 30 for it to not be a
yeah, I'd
letdown
rather have
scoring
two
year.
40 guys than 150.
I mean, Panarin has 12, but Panarin's he's a 80-point guy. He's not a
Yeah.
40 goal scorer. Like
Also, when he's on the ice, he's the reason these guys are scoring half the
and he's
time.
got to shoot more. I love him, but he's got to shoot more. Like it is so visible of him. Like he's like, oh, he moves in on the goal. He's got like 2 guys
Yeah.
on the left, makes a pass that doesn't really need to happen. But
Yeah, it's too much of a team guy, but
so
I'll take
do
it.
you
I
think they're
love
gonna
it.
win today? Do you think they're gonna beat the Kraken at home?
Yeah, I think it's going to
They
be.
have to. That's a
Who's
step back if
do
you
we know
lose in
who's
that
in
game.
net?
Has to be Shesterkin. I swear to God, I'm not gonna watch the
All
game
right,
if it's
I'm calling
Georgiev.
4-0 if Shesterkin's in net. They win.
If they put Georgiev in, I'm gonna lose it. I'm at last note. I know I keep saying that. I cannot. You look at Lundqvist, and you honored him on Friday. The guy. Let me say this: he 2 years ago, and before COVID, in the 1920 season, the Rangers play Carolina twice a year. They played in November. This was like the first week in November. They had a game. I want to say it was like a Thursday night game, or no, maybe it was Tuesday night. That Monday night, they played at home against the Red Wings. They won 5-1. Lundqvist played in net. The next day, on an overnight to Carolina, Lundqvist starts again. They win 4-2. The guy has 42 saves on 44 shots. And Shesterkin can do that. Why do you put Georgiev in? He is so
Yeah,
squirmy. Like he is
it's you're making it feel though like it's the same job as a starting quarterback where the goalie should be out there every night. It doesn't work that way in hockey. I've never been a hockey goalie, but you never see hockey goalies making a ridiculously like 60 starts. It just doesn't happen. So they're obviously managing his health for the playoffs. So that Georgiev's going to get starts.
yeah.
I'm sure there's a
What
reason behind him that we don't know. Maybe you
I
don't
hope he's
feel
gone.
100%.
I like Kincaid. Georgiev, my issue with him is I do not feel like comfortable watching the game when Georgiev's in net. He's squirmy.
No,
You saw some of the goals he gives up. Yes, he is a good goalie. He makes good saves, but you don't feel confident and comfortable
no.
watching
Well,
him.
I'm not going to feel that great with Kincaid, but I feel like the team will totally change how they're going to play when they have like Kincaid. It's a clear like, hey, we're going to have to D up here.
Well,
No offense, these guys are pros, but
Georgiev's like a backup starter. Kincaid's a backup. Georgiev is like
I
that backup
agree.
starter
You may,
guy.
I think they're going to want to trade Georgiev because they're going to get nothing for him.
And you
Maybe
don't
they'll
want
give.
and you don't want to pay that contract or whatever that will
They're
have
not
to
going to.
be.
They're so up against the thing. The Strome contract. I hope they make something creative to keep him. Um, just because I think
Wait,
he works.
what are they gonna have to give? So his contract's up, right?
Strome is up
This year.
now. The conversations that they have is I don't know if you remember. I'm pretty sure you do. But when it was like Sather and Zuccarello and those guys, it was like either you take this shorter number
Oh,
to stay with the Rangers, or I'm going to trade you at the deadline. Now, I don't think anyone's getting traded away at the deadline unless they're getting a bigger piece back because the Rangers are go for it. It was a different time.
now could they play Strom into the rest of the year and keep him and
Yeah,
then
and
do
they
something
just
in the off season?
yeah.
Cause
I think more likely what's going to happen is Strome just finishes out his contract for the season, and then the Rangers in the off season are going to have to figure a way to get salary cap flexibility to.
well, you're gonna have to trade some of the young guys, and Georgiev's gonna have to be there because he's over a
Problem
million.
is the young guys don't
And
carry the salary to give you the relief you need to pay Strome. You know,
Well,
they
right
locked.
now, to me, it's like you look at, okay, the Kreider contract, worth it. Fox, Zibanejad, Panarin, all worth it. Shesterkin, worth it. Truba's contract is what is hurting right now because he's a good player. He's not playing.
He's
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 had a
playing like
better
a
year,
captain.
but he's had a better year. He's not playing to that contract defensively. Defensively, he is not playing to that contract.
I think he's bringing a lot more to the table too as a leader. He was
Yeah.
pitting everyone. He was the reason
If you
last
were
year
there
that
in Carolina, the turnovers are him
yeah.
and Miller. The turnovers are ridiculous. I mean,
Well, also against Carolina, and you're talking about one game. He's had a lot of great games this year, but you're right. You know, you just could only fit so many players in.
I don't want to trade. I do not. If they're gonna make the playoffs, I don't want to trade him because you go down that road. What you
I
did with
don't think
Hayes
I
and
don't think they'll
Zuccarello, it
trade
was
him
like,
unless there's somebody big coming back.
well, that
Like
was the thing. They were like, okay, we'll trade Hayes and Zuccarello, then we'll sign you in the off season because we're not good enough this year. And then they didn't sign them. Like that's
yeah,
the
but
thing. That's what pissed.
they didn't really want to
Well, they
sign him.
wanted Zook. I think
Did
they
you-
wanted Zook
They
back.
wanted Zook, but not at the number that they had to pay him. And that's you heard Joe Shea, the GM of the Giants, come on and say that. And that's you just can't pay everyone. You have to, in your mind, assign a value to the player, and that value could be not just based on goals. Like we look at Barclay Goodrow, people said they overpaid, but how much is he bringing to the table?
He has a career high halfway through the year in goals.
I know, and all the stuff he's doing behind the scenes and the leader that he's been, like, so, you know, on paper that doesn't look, but it works for the Rangers. So they have to come
Well,
up with a
yeah.
number, and if Strom's earned that success, I think a lot of his success also has to do with the great players he's playing with.
Well, I think I thought at the beginning of the year it's a little ridiculous that they were like, all right, so we got Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, Strome, Trouba, Goodrow as 6 alternate captains. I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
And you're all
but
hung up
now
on
I
this captain
understand.
thing.
I understand. I really understand why Goodrow is and Trouba is. I think I think they should name a captain this offseason. I think it's clearly Kreider because I mean, he's physical, he's fast, he's tough, and he scores a lot of goals. He's a Sidney Crosby. He's better than Sidney Crosby. Like that's what I'm. I mean,
Well, settle down with better than
he has
Sidney
more
Crosby.
goals.
Well, for one season, let's not let's not nearly compare their careers, and you'll be embarrassed. But with that, we'll
But
wrap
I
it
get
up.
it. Yeah.
Let's hope the Rangers pull off a win today, and we'll go from there.
Yep. That's a wrap on what episode 27 episodes, halfway to 50. Maybe
We'll
we'll
be
do
there.
something. Maybe we'll do something fun. Maybe we'll do like a live reaction for episode 50, or like
Yeah.
of some game. Maybe that'll be the playoffs or whatever.
Yeah, we'll upgrade our platform to a new high res version.
Yeah, but I hope for a playoff game. If the Rangers make the playoffs, if it's okay with you, I'm coming because I'm saved up too much money. I need to unload the bank on something.
No, invest it and save it. Because if you save your money at your age, you know how much better you'll be at my age. Like if you take half of what you're saving right now and tell Pop, can you put this in something that's going to earn me interest? Do you know how much that will be worth when you're older?
Crypto.
Well, crypto, I haven't heard from your brother lately.
Yeah.
Rough week. You believe he got probably destroyed
Oh
over
my
the last
God.
week. So anyway, we're not a financial show. Love
Yeah.
you, Matty. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you guys for episode 28.
Bye.